Have you ever stood in your own kitchen, a place filled with a decade of memories, and felt like a complete stranger? That's where I was, staring at a single unfamiliar coffee mug on our granite countertop. It was white, with a little cartoon bull on it and the word Espaga. My wife Clara didn't drink coffee. I didn't drink coffee. And we certainly didn't own a mug from Spain. Yet there it was, sitting next to the sink as if it had always belonged. A silent testament to a life I was no longer a part of, and the worst part. When I asked her where it came from, she just laughed, a sound that used to be my favorite song, and said, it's just a silly thing I picked up. That was the moment the floor fell out from under me. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from, what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. Our life in Chicago was supposed to be perfect. We had a beautiful brownstone near Lincoln Park, a life we'd built from nothing. I adored Clara. For 10 years, she was my entire world. Then, about 6 months ago, the cracks started to show. It began subtly. She started going to the gym. Not our usual one, but a fancy new place downtown. Then came the Spanish lessons. "It's for self-improvement, honey," she'd say, tapping away at her language app late into the night. I was proud of her, or at least I tried to be. But a cold knot of dread was tightening in my stomach. She started dressing differently, too. The comfortable clothes she used to love were replaced by outfits that seemed designed for someone else's eyes. One evening, I came home early from my architecture firm, hoping to surprise her. The house was quiet, her car was gone, a little annoyed. I settled on the couch to wait. Hours passed. My calls went straight to voicemail. Around midnight, her car pulled into the driveway. She walked in, her face flushed, her hair slightly damp. She smelled of wine and a men's cologne I didn't recognize. "Girls' night ran late," she mumbled, avoiding my eyes. But later that night, as she slept, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I'd never violated her privacy before, but something compelled me. The screen lit up with a name I didn't know, Javier. The message was simple. "Thinking of you, mi amor." Tonight was incredible. My world shattered into a million pieces. The days that followed were a blur of silent agony. I was a ghost in my own home. Clara became colder, more distant. Every question I asked was met with a defensive snap or a dismissive wave. "You're being paranoid, Mark," she'd say, her eyes like ice. She made me feel crazy, like my pain was an inconvenience to her new secret life. I'd find receipts from expensive restaurants I'd never been to, hear her whispering in Spanish on the phone, quickly hanging up when I entered the room. The man, Javier, was from Spain, a consultant on a short-term project in Chicago. They'd met at her new gym. He was everything I wasn't, exotic, spontaneous, a temporary thrill. Was throwing away our entire life for a vacation romance. The breaking point came during our anniversary dinner. I had booked a table at our favorite restaurant on North Clark Street, the one where I proposed. I thought, maybe, just maybe I could save us. She showed up an hour late, looking annoyed. Halfway through the meal, she put her fork down. "Mark, I can't do this anymore," she said, her voice devoid of emotion. "I'm not happy." She talked about needing space, about finding herself. She didn't mention Javier, but his name hung in the air between us, thick and suffocating. She was breaking up with me, but she was doing it in a way that made her the victim, the one who needed to escape my suffocating, predictable love. I sat there, humiliated, as she walked out, leaving me with the bill and the wreckage of our marriage. That night I didn't sleep. I just sat in the dark, the silence of our home screaming at me. The grief was a physical weight, crushing my chest. But as the sun rose over Lake Michigan, something inside me shifted. The pain curdled into a cold, hard resolve. She thought I was weak. She thought I was a fool. She was about to find out how wrong she was. The game had changed. If she wanted to destroy our life, I would make sure she was the only one buried in the rubble. My background in architecture wasn't just about designing buildings. It was about understanding structures, finding their weak points, and knowing exactly how much pressure to apply before they collapse. My revenge began quietly. I hired a private investigator, a discreet professional who confirmed everything I already knew and uncovered more. He provided me with photos, hotel receipts, and even recordings of their public conversations. The evidence was damning. Next, I met with the best divorce lawyer in Chicago. We didn't file anything yet. We waited. We planned. I learned that in Illinois, while adultery doesn't affect the division of assets, dissipating marital funds on an affair can. Clara had been lavish. Javier was living a five-star life on my dime. I meticulously tracked every dollar she spent on him, the fancy dinners, the weekend trips, the expensive gifts. I created a spreadsheet, a ledger of her betrayal. Socially, Clara was a rising star in her marketing firm, known for her pristine image and sharp business acumen. She was on the cusp of a major promotion to vice president. I found out her company had a strict ethics clause about conduct that could bring the firm into disrepute. I also learned that the CEO, a man who valued loyalty and family above all else, was a friend of my father's. The pieces were falling into place. The final piece was Javier. My investigator discovered he was married, with 2 children back in Spain. His wife thought he was working tirelessly in America to provide for them. A quick, anonymous email to his wife's social media account with a few choice photos would be all it took. The day I chose was the day of Clara's big company gala, the night her promotion was to be announced. It was the pinnacle of her career, the moment she'd been working towards for years. 2 hours before the event, I put my plan into motion. The email was sent to Javier's wife. My lawyer filed for divorce, citing dissipation of marital assets, and simultaneously served Clara's CEO with a courtesy copy of the evidence binder. The binder contained everything: photos, receipts, and sworn affidavits. I made sure it arrived at his office just as he was preparing for the gala. I didn't go to the gala, sat at home in our now empty living room, and pictured the scene. Clara, radiant in a new designer gown, stepping onto the stage to accept her promotion. The polite applause. Then the CEO, his face a mask of thunder, pulling her aside. I imagined her confident smile faltering as she was led into a private office. I imagined her phone buzzing, a string of frantic, furious messages from Javier, as his life imploded in ocean away. I imagined her walking out of that gala, not as the new vice president, but as an unemployed pariah, her professional reputation shattered in a single night. The next day she came back to the house to get her things. Her face was pale, her eyes swollen and red. The arrogance was gone, replaced by a hollow shell of a person. She didn't yell, she didn't cry, she just looked at me. "You destroyed me," she whispered, her voice cracking. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no pity, just a vast cold emptiness. "Clara," I said, my voice steady. "You just finally saw the ruins you created." She took her boxes and left without another word. The divorce was swift. The judge sided with me on the asset division, citing her reckless spending. Her friends abandoned her. Her career was over. She was completely and utterly ruined, a ghost in the city that was once her kingdom. Months have passed. The house is sold. I live in a small apartment downtown now with a view of the Chicago River. Sometimes, late at night, I walk down by the water where the city lights glitter like scattered diamonds. I don't feel happy. I don't feel sad. I feel quiet. The fire of revenge is burned out, leaving behind only ashes and a chilling peace. I got what I wanted. She lost everything. But sometimes I still wake up in the middle of the night and reach for her, my arm finding only cold, empty sheets. The end.